Florida's terrorist group, Moms for Liberty, wants even more from DeSantis. The Florida chapter for Moms for Liberty, the conservative nonprofit that advocates for parental rights in schools, would like state lawmakers to expand the state law that restricts classroom instruction about gender identity and sexual orientation for children from kindergarten through the 3rd grade. The Parental Rights in Education law, dubbed Don't Say Gay by its critics, ignited a firestorm of criticism from Democrats and LGBTQ+ advocates and received national attention after it was introduced and later signed into law last year. Angela Dubach, the Pinellas County chapter chair of the organization, said, quote, "We are advocating to increase that as far as ages and grades have it to be K through 8. She was speaking to the members of the Pinellas County legislative delegation as they met as a group on Wednesday morning at the Clearwater branch campus of St. Petersburg College. The office of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has confirmed that the anti-LGBTQ+ governor is supportive of extending the stipulations of the state's Don't Say Gay law. DeSantis' press secretary, Bryan Griffin, said that, quote, "The governor would certainly consider the merits of such a bill if final form of it comes to his desk as a product of the forthcoming legislative session," end quote. Griffin said DeSantis often expresses his belief that the purpose of our education system is to educate kids, not indoctrinate kids. I feel like every week we just talk about another story about, there's no stories about actually educating children. They're all about what we can't teach them. And that's really I think parents are going to eventually get fed up when they see, again, Florida's ranking in education is not even in the top half. And the bills that are coming through this legislature are not focused on how to better educate our children. They're focused on how to shield them from actual things like history, LGBTQ people of color. And you know, these things are going, Florida has had a huge influx of people moving here from states with high taxes. But you know what those states also have? They have democratic values. They teach things that when you come here and you realize, oh, you know, there's no state income tax, but we can't talk about we can't talk about history. It's going to catch up, I think. And I think that's building.
And to the point, I think you expose a lot of knowledgeable political watchers say this is actually going to be the DeSantis Achilles heel that we couldn't see in the midterm elections, which is once he has a national campaign and places all over the country begin to analyze the governor, they're going to turn their attention to Florida and what's really gone on in Florida, as opposed to the milquetoasty embrace that we as Floridians have to it. And this will be one of the areas. We're terrible in education, absolutely terrible. We are terrible in COVID. While there's this cheer of while there's this cheer about that he kept the state open, a national campaign is going to focus on the number of people that are projected to have died because of DeSantis decision making. And you know who the person is very likely going to be the one that takes the gloves off and eviscerates him? Donald Trump, because he has no stake in the game of the decision making in Florida. So therefore, all of the book, let's open the book so we do some reading. He's going to open it and viciously attack the governor.
100%. I mean, that's really useful to think about, because I mean, there is ways that we could see this kind of going back to the other story, kind of get reframed. Just as a historian, I'm thinking about as I hear this story, the many ways that child protectionism has historically been used in all over the country, but especially in Florida, but it's because I'm thinking of the specific history right now, but from like protecting white children from integration with black students, it has, to Anita Bryant in the 70s and HIV/AIDS in the 80s and beyond. I mean, this story is not new. The idea that censorship can be called a way of protecting children, it's kind of like this. It creates a boogeyman, something really. It could be really manipulative, right? To talk about the need to protect children from history, from things that make people uncomfortable, when this is the exactly just what education is, right?
So I'd like to start a group called Moms for Infertility and put forward a parental wrongs in education bill. for the record.
Right.
Well, I mean, and it's like they just keep trying to push it further. Okay, from kindergarten to third grade. Oh, okay. I mean, I didn't like it, but I was like, okay, you're not going to really be having deep discussions about sexuality at that age. But now they want to go to like 8th grade. That's when the hormones are raging. That's when you start to discuss these type of things. And what are they trying to protect people from their fellow class?
Yeah.
Children from their fellow classmates.
I want to come back. We're going to move to Julio in a moment, but I want to come back to your observation. You make the observation in a different way, which is the observation that he made from a historical standpoint. It is gaslighting and it is a lie. And it was an intentional gaslighting. They passed Don't Say Gay in the most innocuous way where even Raji will go, okay, I can understand, because there's no sexual orientation or gender identity education going on in kindergarten through 3.
Yeah.
That's why they did that, so they can get the law on the books. They knew exactly every step of the way. It's continuing to go on. In this story that Jeff just does, Moms for Liberty says, we want more out of our governor. We're demanding more out of our governor, and we want it to be expanded from K to 3 to K through 8th grade into middle school.
Right.
And what they're going to do in this session, I'm placing money on the table. Already, multiple hardcore Republican legislators are saying, I'm not in favor of extending it to the 8th grade, but I am in favor of extending it completely in elementary school. So let's expand it to K through 6. We'll compromise with Moms for Liberty. They're gaslighting again.
Yeah.
This is completely intentioned of the way they're doing this, and it is a very smart intention. And the final point to that is the quote from the press secretary of what the governor would do. Please, that is completely gaslighting.
Yeah.
He has a super majority, and there is no one in the state house and the state senate that's going to say no to Ron DeSantis. So when he says, well, if they decide to pass this law, I am supportive if it comes to me. It's going to come to you because you told them to do it. And you have a super majority where there's not a single Democratic voice in this state that can stop it. You're gaslighting us all. The difference is we can see it, but it's working.
That's the right word.
It's working.
But you have a great point, Al. You made a really great point about it possibly being his Achilles heel, because if he decides to run, you're talking about it's not just Florida now.
Wait, let's officially name this show the Donald Trump Love Fest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, really, if he decides to run.
I was more in favor of you got one right, Al. Like I saw him.
All right, we'll compromise
We'll go with
that.
that.
Okay, all right.
So, did you enjoy the show? I know you did. So make sure to click subscribe so you won't miss any of the events, news, or interviews right here on the Faye What Show. Ring the bell at the bottom of the screen, right there, so you'll be alerted every time we're live. You can also click on the Happening Out Television Network logo so you can see all of the shows on the most diverse LGBTQ plus media network. Find out just what we're doing to bring the L and the G together right here on the Faye What Show. Get the week started with me.